Hello guys, today I am showing you a classic battle between the Lightning from India, Vishwanathan Anand and the Beast Garry Kasparov. From the 1995 PCA World Championship, this game had everything: attacks, sacrifices, and of course classic Kasparov I am not happy face. Let's break it down. I am your host Bison. Game starts with e4, c5 by Kasparov, Sicilian defense, knight to f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and if black played g6, then this is called accelerated dragon variation. But Kasparov goes for regular Sicilian knight to f6, knight to c3, a6, covering the b5 square, and this is called Najdorf variation. Bishop to e2 by Anand. He is preparing for castle. This variation is called Oposinski variation. And here after this, black can continue the game with e5, hitting the knight, but here Kasparov played e6. He opts for the Shivingen variation. This e6 and d6 pawn structure provides a solid center while allowing black pieces for a flexible placement, giving the black both stability and dynamic possibilities. Here after this, white can goes for an aggressive line like f4 and then comes f5. Okay, and in this position here white can also play g4 and then g5 hitting this knight. Okay, so after this move e6, here Anand decide to castle, safety first, bishop to e7 by Kasparov. He is also preparing to castle, and after this Anand expand towards the queen side by playing a4. Okay, so knight to c6 asking for knight exchange, but Anand simply develops his bishop on e3 eyeing on the d4 square. Then black castled and now Anand become aggressive. He launches a pawn march by playing f4. Maybe he can push e5 later. So that's why Kasparov brings his queen on c7, eyeing on this e5 square. But Anand calmly slides his king to h1 and stepping away from any immediate threats and preparing for future attacks. Rook to e8 by this, and after this bishop to f3 by Anand. Maybe he wants to bring back his knight to e2 so that it can reroute on g3. Now finally Kasparov develops his light square bishop on d7, creating an outpost for this bishop if knight were exchanged. Knight to b3. Maybe he wants to push a5 so that he can place his dark square bishop on h6, attacking the queen. So that's why Kasparov brings his knight on a5, stopping the move a5. After this, Anand exchanges the knight and then he brings his queen on d3, eyeing the h7 square, and obviously white will push e5 later, so that's why Kasparov brings his another rook on d8, taking control over this d file. Okay, here Anand also brings his rook on d1, bishop to c6 by Kasparov, eyeing the c6 diagonal, but Anand simply pushed his b pawn further, attacking the queen. Queen goes back on c7, now comes b5, attacking the bishop. And after bishop to d7, rook at a goes to b1. After this, some takes happens, and now this queen is under attack, and it's better for black to just bring his queen on a5 so that it can attack this a4 pawn. But here Kasparov made a slight mistake by capturing the knight, because after queen takes b5, you can see that white is threatening to bishop to b6 forking this queen and the rook. And note one thing, that here black can't capture the c2 pawn, otherwise white will play rook at d goes to c1, and you can see that this queen is very close to trap and the only square for the queen is a2. But now comes rook at a1 and this queen is completely trapped. So that's why after seeing this move, he placed his rook on a8, Eyeing on this a4 pawn, c4 by Anand. He starts to launch the pawn march and comes e5. Here white can takes on e5, but Anand attacks the queen first by bishop to b6, queen to c8, and after this again some takes happen, and after this Anand plays a solid move a5, creating a permanent outpost for this bishop. Okay, after this, bishop to f8, but he must consider the move bishop to d8, trying to exchange this dark square bishop. And after this, h3 by Anand, eyeing the g4 square so that this queen can't enter in future. Queen to e6, he might bring his rook on c8, aiming to target the c4 pawn and increase the pressure on the white position. But guys, in this position, Anand played a god level move, which is rook to d5, sacrificing the rook. And if knight takes on d5, which actually happens in game, then after e takes d5, now look at the queen side. The pawns, the bishop and the queen and the rook, everything is lined up ready to launch a brutal attack and completely dismantle black position. After this, Kasparov moves his queen on g6. Uh, Here he defends his queen first and prepares for the move e4. But Anand showing no interest, and he's just simply pushed c5, advancing his pawns, and now comes e4. Attacking the bishop, Anand simply moves his bishop on e2, then after this, rook to e5. Attacking the d5 pawn, Anand brings his queen on d7, defending this d5 pawn as well as attacking the b7 pawn. Rook to g5 by Kasparov, attacking this g2 pawn, and Anand defends this by bringing his rook on g1, guarding this pawn, and after this e3, d6, completely paralyzing the dark square bishop, and now you can see that this bishop is useless. Okay, rook to g3, but I don't understand that why Kasparov didn't play the move queen to c2, which hits this bishop and creates some counterplay, and finally Anand grabs the b7 pawn. Now this rook is under attack, but here Kasparov set up a trap by playing queen to e6, and suppose if white captured on a8, then white will be completely lost, because now comes rook takes h3 check, and after g takes h3, queen takes h3 checkmate. So that's why after queen to e6, yeah, after this move, but guys, he is Anand. He is 5-time world champion. He didn't fall for these cheap traps. He simply brings his king further, and after this, Kasparov resigned. What an amazing game by Anand. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. Hit that subscribe button for more. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.